Hello, in this lesson we're going to be looking at some of the ways that you can start nourishing your body. And so the definition of nourishment means to sustain with food or nutriment by supporting with what is necessary for life, health, and growth. And so if we've gotten this far into the course, you would already understand that there are risks and consequences to malnutrition or having a starved brain and body. And so this can impact your physical health, your mental and emotional health, your social connections and relationships, your ability to study, work, and pursue a career, as well as your hobbies and talents like creative pursuits, any travel or sports that you participate in. And so in terms of disordered eating behaviors, we know that these behaviors sit on a spectrum from normal or intuitive eating or food freedom all the way to a diagnosed eating disorder. And so ultimately what we want to do is to have a plan of strategies to help you alleviate your symptoms, enhance your health, and move you towards intuitive eating or food freedom. And so how we do this is to be able to eat intentionally and with purpose. And so that means to nourish your body first through regular eating. And the benefits of regular eating is to provide your body with consistent fuel sources. It also helps to maintain your blood sugar levels or your blood glucose levels. It prevents any muscle breakdown. It sets the tone for your digestive clock, and it balances your hunger and fullness levels. Some of the practical strategies that you can implement to work on regular eating includes the rule of threes, so trying to have 3 main meals and 3 snacks no more than 3 hours apart, setting reminders on your phone through apps, or having an accountability partner to check in with you, ensure that you have been eating regularly, to schedule in time to eat, so putting in time in your calendar to take a break from what you are doing and dedicate that time to eat. To strategize with your hunger. And so we want to be able to dedicate that larger volume of food or those more nourishing foods to when you're actually feeling more hungry, as well as to set checkpoints throughout the day. So these can be time checkpoints that you have a look at and assess whether you've had enough food at those points in time. Another way to nourish your body first is to work on adequate eating. And so this means to ensure that you are getting enough of each of the nutrients from each of the food groups. And this is going to help to sustain, repair, growth, and the functions of each and every cell in your body. This also helps to meet your nutritional requirements and improve your physical symptoms, and it is essential for your overall health. And so some of the practical strategies for adequate eating include using the plate guide to align your portions for all your macronutrients, referring to the real food pyramid to expand the types of foods that you have, ensuring a balance of foods from all the groups, and remembering that every bite is healing your body, digestive system, and muscles. The next step is varied eating, and so this means to allow a broad range of nutrients. It also means to challenge some of the food rules that you have and to rebuild your relationship with all foods. This also gives you the opportunity to eat foods that you truly enjoy and desire, and so it can expand the range of flavors, colors, and types of meals that you are having. Some of the practical strategies for varied eating includes accepting that all foods fit. And so that means that no foods are off limits and that they all serve a purpose. Another strategy would be expanding your food choices and the palettes of foods that you desire. It also means experimenting and trying different foods. And so you could think about, can you include different colors, textures, flavors, or types of foods in the meals that you're having throughout the week? And so the next step of the RAVES model is eating socially. And so this is what we're going to work on in this lesson. And so social eating builds upon that variety. And this is a critical step to rebuild your relationship and trust with food. But it also gives you the opportunity to re-engage in social connections, because we know that participating in disordered eating behaviors can be very isolating, and because of the shame and anxiety associated with those behaviors, people can begin to withdraw and distance themselves from the people around them. So it also encourages enjoyment of social events and celebrations. It challenges that social isolation that we were talking before, and it supports sustainability in terms of those dietary changes. So it can really solidify that pathway towards food freedom. Social situations that involve food can often be triggering. And so a lot of my clients have described that it can trigger feelings of fear, anxiety, judgment, panic, or stress. And so you are not alone if the thought of going out to eat or eating in a different setting brings up these feelings. And so to start introducing eating socially, what we want to do is to start small and build from there. So we want to ease into small steps towards eating socially. So you could always start with a snack or a coffee or a smoothie or anything that you are open to. Something small to begin with. The reason why this is so helpful is because there is low commitment to having a snack or a coffee or something like that. And so there is no pressure or need to have a whole full meal out. You can leave whenever you want to, and starting with this small commitment, that means that you can build confidence from there. And so the second strategy is to plan ahead. And so this means to try and decide where you're going with your friends, family, or support person before the date. It allows you to familiarize yourself with the menu, the location, and what you may choose, as well as mentally preparing before. Having a plan provides structure and security, and it also reduces the feelings of overwhelm or being caught off guard. The third strategy is to speak up. So this is going to help you to set boundaries and to help meet your core needs. So if you need a break from the situation or you're feeling triggered or pressured, you can always step away from that situation and try again next time. Another part of this is having boundaries around conversation topics. So if you want to keep the conversation to specific topics, you might have to let the person with you know that you don't want to be talking about certain subjects. And then the other good thing about speaking up is that standing up for yourself by letting others know what you need is essential for protecting your recovery. So again, it's kind of setting that safety and structure around that situation, which can already be quite stressful. The next step is to avoid loud or busy restaurants. So we know that choosing a relaxing, calm, or inviting restaurant can make a whole world of difference when your thoughts are already panicking. The less anxious you are, the more likely you're going to eat enough, digest well, build trust, and create a positive experience with eating out or with that food. And so you can always choose to go someplace that you are comfortable with. The next strategy is to ground in the moment. And so this means taking a few deep box breaths to ground and calm your nervous system, using any positive affirmations or visualizations that you find helpful, practicing mindful eating, so engaging your senses during that meal. And so this can take the pressure, anxiety down by focusing on the task at hand and focusing on things that you can actually control, rather than fixating on some of those external pressures that can mount up and build that overwhelm. And so again, all of this helps to build confidence around food. Another strategy would be to focus on your own plate. So it is beneficial to try and focus on things that, like the conversation that you're having with the other person, rather than what the other person is eating, and that can trigger comparison. Taking the focus off food onto the company makes the experience so much more enjoyable, not to mention that it allows you to really connect with another person. So again, it's shifting focus from the food to the experience. And so to reconnect to eating through eating socially, these are the 5 steps that we can take to move us towards that food freedom. So the first is that we want to start small and build from there. The second is we want to plan ahead. We want to be able to speak up and voice any boundaries that we have. We want to avoid any loud or busy restaurants and make sure that you feel comfortable in that environment. You can always ground into the moment, so utilizing those strategies that help to calm your nervous system. And also we want to focus on your own plate rather than looking at other people's plate and starting that comparison. And so feeling guilty for eating when you're genuinely hungry is like feeling guilty for breathing when your lungs need oxygen. We've literally been taught to be ashamed of our basic human needs, so refuse to feel the shame. Thank you so much for listening to this lesson. I have activities that you can start putting into practice from this module's guidebook. And remember to please like, subscribe, or share this video with others who may find it helpful.